Good morning, evening, or night, wherever you are. Welcome to WHAM today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through the whispers of today's world. One quiet thought at a time. As we wrap up Thursday, 3rd July 2025, let's see what stories are unfolding around us. United States. The average long-term US mortgage rate has decreased to 6.67%, providing some respite for homebuyers. Applications for US jobless aid fell to 233,000 last week, signaling stable employment conditions. GA Aerospace has received authorization from the U.S. to resume jet engine shipments to China's Comet, hinting at a possible de-escalation in trade relations. The U.S. House's approval of Trump's tax cut bill has weakened the dollar and boosted domestic gold prices. Nissan is recalling over 480,000 vehicles in the U.S. and Canada due to manufacturing defects that could lead to engine failure. Australia. Thakral Life has begun trading on the Australian Stock Exchange with a market capitalisation of $1.65 billion. An Australian father and son duo have gained $417 from a business that started in a trailer park. Australian shares are expected to rise, boosted by strong US jobs data and falling oil prices. Domino's executives are meeting with investors after the CEO's departure. Global markets. The euro's rise against the US dollar could negatively impact European exporters and US companies' offshoring operations, potentially intensified by Trump's tariffs. BASE's share price dropped over 6% because of investor worries about market regulator actions against us, firm Jane Street, which might lower derivatives trading volumes. Gold prices have risen in the domestic futures market, with the MEX gold August contract increasing by 0.6% to $96,900. 35 per 10 grams, influenced by the dollar's weakness. China's economic trajectory is marked by both technological advancements and intricate trade relationships. Despite projections of a significant increase in U.S. national debt following the House's tax cut extension bill, China has remained publicly silent, a notable change from past responses. Trade tensions with the U.S. seem to be easing, leading to a modest rise in Chinese stock values. President Trump's strategy to influence trade dynamics, starting with Vietnam, to reduce trade reliance on China, remains a key consideration. Baidu is integrating AI into its products to compete with Tencent and DeepSeek, demonstrating China's commitment to innovation. Apple's iPhone sales in China have increased for the first time in 2 years, even amidst strong competition from Huawei. The U.S. government has removed export restrictions on chip design software destined for China, a decision that benefits Synopsys, a U.S.-based company. However, the electric vehicle market in China faces significant hurdles, with AlixPartners estimating that fewer than 10% of EV brands will achieve profitability within the next 5 years due to intense price competition and oversupply. Concerns are rising in the U.S. pyrotechnics industry, which relies heavily on Chinese fireworks imports, about the potential impact of tariffs on America's 4th of July celebrations. The United States is actively managing its economic and trade relationships with both China and Europe. The national debt is projected to rise by at least $3.40 trillion over the next decade following the House's approval of a bill extending tax cuts. President Trump's trade strategies aim to pressure China by incentivizing countries, beginning with Vietnam, to decrease their trade with China. The U.S. government has lifted export restrictions on chip design software headed to China, a decision that advantages U.S.-based Synopsys. Domestically, the pyrotechnics industry, which is heavily dependent on Chinese fireworks imports, is worried that tariffs could negatively impact 4th of July celebrations. Europe is prioritizing competitiveness in the global economic landscape, according to ECB President Christine Lagarde. Speaking at the ECB's forum in Sintra, Portugal, Lagarde emphasized Europe's focus on improving its competitive position relative to both the United States and China. Saudi Arabia's economy is showing strong growth and diversification, as reflected in the Tadawul All-Share Index's 1.03% increase. The non-oil sector saw accelerated growth in June, driven by high demand. Foreign investment inflows have surged by 44%, solidifying Saudi Arabia's attractiveness as an investment hub, and the kingdom signed deals worth $27 billion with Indonesia to strengthen trade and investment relations. The Saudi contracting sector is also experiencing growth in 2024, accompanied by a tax waiver extension until the end of 2025. That several significant projects and initiatives are currently in progress within Saudi Arabia. The Public Investment Fund's PIF New Murabba project in Riyadh is collaborating with a tech company on its development. Rare Partners, operating from Abu Dhabi Global Market, AGM, has secured $55 million for a fiber production plant within Saudi Arabia. PIF's strategic investments in sports are notably elevating Saudi Arabia's global standing. Simultaneously, the kingdom is exploring investment opportunities in longevity research for healthier living. Saudi IDA's omnibus accounts are facilitating cost-effective market access for global investors. Riyadh is preparing to host Cityscape Global 2025, building on momentum from the previous year's event, which resulted in $61 billion in deals. In its diplomatic efforts, Saudi Arabia is planning to expand its embassy presence in Africa and is actively promoting global drought solutions through innovative strategies and international partnerships. A Riyadh Monopoly edition was also recently released. The Deputy King received the ambassador of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to the Kingdom of Bahrain, further strengthening diplomatic ties. India's stock market navigates a fluctuating Nifty 50 index, ranging between 24,825 660. SEBI is probing Jane Street for alleged manipulation of Nifty 50 derivatives, freezing $566 million and barring the firm from Indian markets. Access Securities recommends Aster DM Healthcare, Uphill, and Voltus shares. Gujarat now boasts over 1 crore stock market investors, becoming the third state to reach this milestone. Ad County Media India's IPO is prepared for listing. India has approved $12.30 billion in defense procurements. Treasury yields may increase Indian long-term bond yields. Foxconn is downsizing its Chinese workforce in India, which could affect Apple's growth strategies. Ukraine is actively pursuing increased military production with European support, a move intensified by the US pausing some weapons deliveries as it battles Russian forces. Further escalating tensions, Ukrainian drones are reported to have damaged power infrastructure in Sergiev Posad, a city near Moscow, while a Russian Navy deputy commander, previously praised by Putin, has allegedly been killed by Ukrainian forces. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has communicated to Donald Trump his unwavering commitment to his objectives in Ukraine, according to the Kremlin. In a separate development, French President Emmanuel Macron and Putin held their first conversation in 3 years, amidst reports of a suspected poisoning attack targeting children in Odessa, Ukraine. Turning to the United Kingdom, financial markets are keenly watching the unfolding political situation after Finance Minister Rachel Reeves was seen crying on Wednesday. Russia launched a drone attack on Ukraine, following a call between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. To stabilize its economy, Russia increased its net foreign currency sales starting July 7th, though the Russian central bank does not anticipate a banking crisis. In a move to consolidate control over key assets, Russia is reportedly seeking state seizure of gold producer Uzhuralzoloto. Shifting its international posture, Russia became the first country to officially recognize the Taliban-led government in Afghanistan. Domestically, Russia is grappling with a coal crisis. Despite sanctions, arms deliveries, and sanctions, loopholes are reportedly benefiting Russia. In a blow to its military leadership, numerous senior Russian commanders have been killed by Ukraine since the start of the war. Asian markets present a mixed picture, with concerns over potential tariffs, especially from the United States, and uncertainty about the U.S. rate path impacting performance. The dollar is currently weak amidst these concerns. Some Asian shares, however, have risen, mirroring record highs in US stocks, fueled by rallies in companies like Tesla and Nike. Taiwan's currency has strengthened, reaching its highest value against other Asian currencies since April 2022, reflecting the island's robust economic performance and investor confidence. Turning to Thailand, an Asian consortium led by Metaplanet and Sora Ventures is making a strategic move into the Thai market with the acquisition of DV8, signaling increased investment and expansion in the region's technology and digital sectors. The United States is facing increased pressure to finalize a comprehensive trade agreement with Vietnam as temporary tariff reductions near expiration. Vietnam's stock market surged to a 3-year high following the announcement of a U.S.-Vietnam trade deal, which includes a 20% tariff on certain goods imported from Vietnam. While retailers in Vietnam managed to avoid the most detrimental outcomes, concerns remain among executives about the potential adverse effects of these tariffs on consumers. Meanwhile, the U.S. has lowered tariffs for Vietnam, which has intensified pressure on South Korea. Europe's stock markets presented a mixed picture, initially rising after U.S. jobs data was released. Shares then dipped slightly as traders assessed trade discussions and the U.S. tax legislation. Amendments to the U.S. tax bill have provided some respite to European renewable energy firms. These firms have faced issues such as funding difficulties, competition from China, and ambiguous tariffs. The perception of stability in Europe is drawing investors, particularly when compared to the concerns surrounding the United States. The euro's value decreased in response to the surprisingly robust U.S. job figures. South Korea is actively bolstering its financial markets through several strategic initiatives. Anticipation of shareholder-friendly reforms under the new president has fueled a 30% increase in stock market activity this year. To further enhance trading efficiency, South Korea has introduced extended trading hours for one transaction. Efforts to tackle the Korea discount, the undervaluation of South Korean companies, have resulted in the passage of a revised commercial bill. President Lee has committed to a bold economic policy following a period of martial law crisis. In the cryptocurrency sector, the exchange Upbit has introduced the Mood trading pair, available with KRW, BTC, and USDT. Japan's stock market is showing strong potential, with the Nikkei stock average possibly challenging the 40,000-point level. The Nikkei's rise mirrors Wall Street's record finish, especially in chip stocks, though US trade deal uncertainty has caused some market meandering, impacting steelmakers. Japan's stable time zone gives it a competitive edge in global markets. Prime Minister Ishiba is preparing for a crucial election campaign. South Africa's rand saw a boost thanks to investor confidence in US trade talks and promising inflation control efforts. On the financial front, a new regulated Bitcoin investment option has become available. Standard Bank and ICBC are collaborating to promote African exports, participating together in a major trade exhibition. Furthermore, Henkel has grown its footprint in the region by acquiring Nordback, a South African company. In the United States, Attorney General Pam Bondi defended President Trump's consideration of a TikTok ban. She cited national security and foreign affairs as the primary justification. This stance could broaden executive power precedents. Furthermore, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse revealed that the company is actively seeking a banking license within the United States. The announcement correlated with a rise in the value of XRP, Ripple's associated cryptocurrency. Singapore is intensifying its crackdown on unlicensed cryptocurrency companies, potentially benefiting Hong Kong by increasing liquidity in its crypto market. Simultaneously, Singapore's stock market reached record highs amidst mixed trading in Asia, as investors analyzed the Federal Reserve statements. The country is institutionalizing market reforms to solidify its position as a global capital anchor. France faces trade complications as clothing manufacturer St. James halts shipments due to tariff pressures. Shifting gears, French technology firm Thales is exploring the possibility of constructing a radar factory within Saudi Arabia. Thales also contemplates the establishment of an artificial intelligence AI hub located in the United Arab Emirates, signaling a strengthening of technological ties in the region. In related news, Nigerian President Tinubu recently visited France, marking one of his many international engagements since assuming office in 2023. Germany is witnessing strategic shifts in both its industrial and legal sectors. Rheinmetall, guided by CEO Armin Papager, is broadening its industrial base to include aviation. The company is also reinforcing its U.S. presence by collaborating with the U.S. manufacturer of the F-35 fighter jet. Meanwhile, Frankfurt's legal scene is seeing partners from international firms like Mofo, Norton Rose, and Ashurst migrating to German firms, driven by profit dynamics. Canada's economic horizon appears promising, with the potential avoidance of a baseline U.S. tariff providing a boost. The nation's goods trade deficit has also narrowed, primarily due to increased shipments of gold. Investment firm Jefferies has identified Canada as an attractive destination for capital. Reinforcing this positive sentiment, the S&P TAIEX Composite closed up 0.61%, signaling robust market performance. Taiwan is preparing for the debut of ICT Design House microprogram on the Taiwan Stock Exchange. Moreover, the official launch of Ragnarok Zero and Ragnarok Twilight is slated for July 3, 2025, across Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau. Turning to Greece, the nation is experiencing positive outcomes following a decade of demanding economic rehabilitation. Greece is also enhancing its tourism collaboration with Switzerland, demonstrated by a promotional campaign in Zurich that showcases the scenic allure of Skiathos Island. In Tajikistan, economic vulnerabilities persist alongside established bilateral fiscal relations with Russia. Furthermore, Tajikistan is poised to increase project funding through the Saudi Fund for Development. Focusing on North Korea, Kim Jong-un's Kalma Beach resort town, an ambitious effort to draw international tourists, may struggle to achieve projected visitor numbers. BRICS nations are gathering in Brazil to advance initiatives designed to challenge Western influence, as an increasing number of countries express interest in joining the economic alliance. Nigeria's GTO is on track to become the first Nigerian bank listed on the London Stock Exchange, with GP Bank planning to secure $100 million through share offerings in the UK. In Kenya, President Ruto announced plans to list state corporations on the London Stock Exchange as part of broader capital market reforms. Saudi Arabia's Al Rashid Group is embarking on a strategic partnership with Juhaina, with Zilla Capital acting as advisor. In addition, Morocco and Saudi Arabia are reinforcing their economic connections, and the Saudi Fund for Development is expanding project financing in Tajikistan. Meanwhile, Azerbaijan is advocating for independence from Russia amid escalating tensions and conflicts. Switzerland is actively pursuing a trade agreement with the United States under the Trump administration, while simultaneously aiming to avoid deeper integration with the European Union. Finally, Ethiopia has successfully negotiated a debt restructuring agreement with its official creditors. And that's a wrap for today's news, because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on WHAM Today.